Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be featuring the Azuma, the Tier 7 premium Japanese cruiser that you can obtain for 750,000 global XP. Now, in the June update, this ship has received a few buffs that, in my opinion, definitely make this ship a lot more comfortable to play, but it's still not going to be quite the top contender as a cruiser at the tier. I think the Wichita, Baltimore, Riga, Cleveland, and Mainz will pretty much forever stay at the top of the tier unless some other really strong cruiser is released. But we're not talking about that today. We are talking about the Azuma. So, like I said before, this ship does feel a lot more comfortable. In this game, I am using AL Otago as a commander, which unfortunately, during this past wave of Azure Lane content, AL Otago did not return because the voice actor was changed, I believe, so they couldn't release AL Otago again. But I'm sure at some point in the future she will make a return. Not sure if she will be the same commander with the same skills or an entirely new commander for wargaming to milk money out of us. But anyway, the Azuma is definitely one of those long range cruisers that typically you do not really want to push in, especially when there's a battleship that can easily overmatch you. And as you just saw, I citadeled a York with the Azuma's AP, and the AP is nothing to scoff at. It can definitely slap cruisers and battleships, although it is a bit tough to manage AP and HE with such a long reload, and really there not being any special skills that decrease the time to switch your shells from AP to HE, like AL Dunkirk's frontal fire. The only skill that is available is on second thought, but that's really only a 55% switch time, which really is still going to be a little more than 10 seconds. And 10 seconds, especially if ships are paying attention, is long enough. And unfortunately, those skills don't exist on cruiser commanders, and they only exist on battleship and the universal commanders, which I think is kind of dumb. I think cruisers benefit from that shell switch a lot more than battleships do, but that's just my opinion. The armor on the Azuma is fairly decent. It is a very large ship, so whenever battleships shoot at you, you will find that you are going to eat a ton of damage, especially if they are 406 millimeter guns or higher, because they will overmatch a good portion of your ship. You do have a 30 millimeter icebreaker so that you do not get citadeled through the bow, and the deck is also 30 millimeters, so your deck can ricochet shells, although typically you will find that shells either pen your superstructure or the upper casemate, and you just eat a ton of damage. And you definitely do not want to show any sort of broadside to any ship in this thing because the citadel is massive. Kind of like the Yamato, it does have a somewhat odd hexagonal shape, and you do have that cheek weakness similar to the Yamato, although the 30 millimeter icebreaker does help with not being citadeled again through the bow and in that angle, but you do have to be very careful and maintain your angling. In this game, I am playing fairly aggressive, but as I am pushing forward, I am utilizing islands and being aware of my surroundings so that I can actually play aggressive. Right now, I am trying to keep pushing and trying to get an angle on this Vladivostok, who is just sitting by that island, and seeing if I can get his broadside and possibly citadel him with this Azuma AP, which you can definitely do. I am going to speed it up here for a little bit, just so that we can speed this along since I'm just sailing. And I do spot the Vladivostok, and he is unfortunately slightly angled to us, but we are still here trying to test what we can exactly do with this new AP. My first salvo at the Vladivostok. I do aim a bit higher so that I can pen the upper belt, and I do a decent chunk of damage. Not as much as I was hoping for, but it is enough, especially since that ship is the largest threat for us. This Helena does get a little lazy with his angling, and I shoot some AP at the Helena, and I'm actually able to citadel him as he turns away, which you do need 50 millimeters of armor plating for a shell to pen in order to arm, which was perfect since the Helena angled away. If he sailed flat broadside, these shells would have definitely overpenned. And now that he is starting to angle, and I am certain he's going to be doing the wiggle, I switch over to HE so that I can just do guaranteed damage as long as I hit his ship. AL Toggle special skill is very good since it increases your ship's HE alpha and fire chance, so pretty much every salvo I take at this Helena will almost be a guaranteed fire because the fire chance is at 36% and the HE alpha is very high, especially because this is a Japanese cruiser and the addition of AL Toggle special skill. And you can see just how much I am chunking this Helena, and I'm just starting fires left and right. And that's what you can pretty much expect from a El Atago special skill when using it on any of the Japanese cruisers. But the skill isn't all just pluses, there are some negatives, like the fact that you do take 10% more damage to your ship, which includes citadels and penetrations. So you do need to be very careful when playing this ship. Although the Azuma does have a large HP pool, you can sustain the damage a lot better than you can in, say, a Suzuya or a Tago. But when pushing in this close to a Vladivostok, you do need to be very careful, especially because of the Russian gimmick, which is active within 11 kilometers. And our first salvo at the Vladivostok, we do start a fire that he is not going to damage con yet, which is unfortunate. We are hoping that this player isn't as intelligent and we can set a double fire on him permanently and really kill him off. As you saw, he just chunked us for a huge amount of HP and most of his shells actually missed. So now we are going to try and reverse and get out of the Russian gimmick range and go undetected. I am holding my shot and just letting him stay on fire to see if he does decide to damage con early or if he's just going to let that fire burn. Either way, we are still damaging him and really don't need to put ourselves in harm's way for no reason and trade another huge amount of HP. So all I'm gonna do now is just watch him burn. I did also stop because I did notice there were still enemy ships on the other side of the map that had turned in, and our friendly destroyers are spotting them. So I am not gonna just go out there and be the only target spotted for the entire enemy team to farm, and I'm just gonna take them on one target at a time. The Vladivostok does put out the fire, so I'm just going to keep shooting HE at him, and with Aeolatago's special skill, setting fires on him is not a problem. I do get a double fire there, and he is going to burn permanently, and he will hopefully die to that one double fire. I do keep focusing him to kill him off. Unfortunately, those cruisers are just pushing in at our destroyers, and our destroyers are not running away. They are just sitting in the smoke and really trading their ships for no reason. They've already captured the base, and now there's really no reason for them to just sit in their smoke, but they are just trying to farm in their smoke and really having no regard for the enemy Cleveland or Edinburgh that is just pushing in. I do set another fire on this Vladivostok, and he does go down, giving me an arsonist medal. And now I do think I need to turn away and start kiting these two cruisers because I feel like our friendly destroyer will die and I will be the last ship here, being forced into a 2 versus 1. And I do need to just simply try my best to survive as my friendly ships are pushing through the middle of the map, and at some point they will be over here to help me. If we are not able to kill them off, hopefully we can do enough damage to them that whatever ship comes through mid has enough HP to finish them off. My first salvo at the Cleveland, I start a fire, and our destroyer dies because he still sat in his smoke when he knew that these ships were pretty much just charging in. And now I'm just angled away. The Edinburgh will struggle to do any damage to me, but I do need to worry about the Cleveland, who will be able to just HE spam and set me on fire. I do in return get some quick fires on that Cleveland, and he does damage con, so I am just going to focus the Cleveland to set him on fire and chunk him for all of his HE with my own HE salvo. And this salvo I'm able to get a double fire and chunk him for a decent amount. And now I'm fairly certain this Cleveland will go down. The enemy Edinburgh does get spotted, and I'm hoping our friendly battleship is able to kill him off. I am a little worried since the Edinburgh does have that 30mm hull that only one battleship can overmatch at the tier, and I am assuming the Edinburgh will pretty much just YOLO our battleship and torpedo him, which is exactly what he is doing. The battleship that does come through mid is Roma, and it does have a pretty decent torpedo belt, so any torpedoes that does hit that torpedo protection will have significantly reduced damage, and our battleship is able to survive the 3 torpedoes. Unfortunately, the Edinburgh does go unspotted because our Roma smokes up, and at some point that Roma smoke will run out and the Edinburgh will be spotted again. Unfortunately, when the smoke runs out, the Edinburgh is actually broadside to the Roma, and it won't take much for that Edinburgh to go down, so we missed out on a Kraken. Now the last 2 ships left are a destroyer that has been unspotted for some time, and a battleship that was recently spotted pushing into Bravo. Judging by how fast that cap is being flipped, I do think both of the enemy ships are in that cap, so I am just going to keep pushing in, and I don't really have to worry about being spotted, at least not yet, and it does depend on where these enemy ships go. The last remaining enemy ship on the other team is a Bismarck, which I can definitely bow tank, and perhaps I will have enough time to kill him if he is low enough and get a second shot at a Kraken. Unfortunately, when the Bismarck does get spotted, he is still pretty healthy and we do not have very much time left in this game. I do think our friendly Boise is playing very risky by sticking around, especially with a Bismarck that close. The secondaries and his main guns will simply do a ton of damage to him, and he doesn't have a whole lot of HP left to begin with. And I start thinking I need to actually start running away instead of trying to risk trying to get a Kraken, because if both of us die, then we will definitely lose. As the Bismarck comes around the corner, I do shoot at him hoping to get spotted, so he shoots his front guns at me instead of the Boise, but he does shoot at the Boise, and he does something very odd here. He focuses his secondaries on me instead of the Boise, when the secondaries would actually kill the Boise a lot faster than it would kill me. But him making that mistake is actually very beneficial for us, and he does duck behind the island hiding from us, so we can't get another shot in, and the timer does end the game. And somehow both of us survived. I was thinking at least one of us was probably going to die within that minute, but none of us did. We were able to do 3400 base XP in this game, and we pretty much doubled the next person's XP, 171,000 damage as well, which is pretty good for this ship, and like I said, it is much better than it was before. Looking at AL Atago, and here's the special skill, you can see 8% fire chance, 10% main gun HE damage, but then you take 10% more damage to your own ship. So it is definitely a skill that you should use if you do have her, because it is just so strong. And here I'm scrolling through different inspirations because I'm still messing with my Azuma build, trying to see what could also make it even more fun and even better to play. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Leave a comment down below for any ships you want to see in the future. But until next time, aloha.